Okay, so I did my project by myself. It's called Sky Airlines. It's the airline version. So let's go ahead and start. See, I have to book my flight. I'm gonna hit begin, and it's gonna scroll down to flight information. So we're leaving from Atlanta, and instead of Dubai, we can go to Los Angeles. Wow, okay. California. So I can set a departure date, and it's not going to let me click any previous dates because you can't fly in the past. So um, let's do it for tomorrow, and then the same thing applies. I can't go for a past date. So we're going to come back on the 14th. That's not supposed to be there. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down and enter in personal info. So I'm gonna put in my name, my last name, and if I try and submit that, it's gonna say that I have to be born in at least December 31st of 2000 or earlier, which I assume is around 18, or actually it'd be 19, but so we're gonna say that my birthday is December 11th of 2000. And let's just put in a phone number. And so if I put this in, it has to match the right format and won't let me submit. So I have to put it in with dashes. And then I'm gonna put in an email. Currently there's no check for an email. But that's fine. So it's gonna submit to my form data, my PHP file. For some reason, it's not putting the flight info and the rest of the flyer info into like the print statement, but it is still receiving the data as far as the departure date and return date goes, and same for phone number, birthday, and email. But it's just not showing here. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna go back. Going to continue. But yeah, once that's submitted, it's gonna submit. So I actually was not able to get the seat selection done. So what I wanted to do was, instead of the car or the parking ahead of time function, I wanted to do seat selection, where it would have like how you would book a flight on like a big airline. It would have the graphics of what seats you can pay for. And I wanted to have it random. So what I wanted to do was have like a random class set up, and it would have a spot in the chart, the seating chart, and whenever it would be refreshed, it would have whichever random seats taken up, and then whatever's left you'd be allowed to select. But since that's not available, we're gonna select no thanks. And here we have the card, the checkout for the flight. So the same thing, you put in name on the card, and the card number. So in an earlier version of the program, I had actually I think there's still a max. Yeah, so now I can't go past 16, which is the standard card number. If it's more than 16, it won't accept it. I didn't actually, yeah, the minimum is also 16, so if I could only have 16 digits for the card number. And I have a drop down for the card expiration date, and the CVV code maximum is only 3 digits, and it's the password input type, so it stays a secret. As far as the card verification, I wasn't quite able to get that right. I'll show it in my code in a second, but after that, it's gonna check out. and then it's going to say, congratulations, your flight's been booked, have a safe trip. So on to my code. So this is my first page. So this right here is what keeps it hidden until you hit begin, and that's the method that will show it, the Java method that will show the file. So yeah, right here it's the get element by ID, and that entire all of this is in a div called flight selection. So if the default is none, it's just gonna stay none. It's gonna stay available. But if the display is none, then it's gonna show it. And then if it's not going to show it. But I have my inputs right here, my departure dates. Here's where I have the calendar set up, and with this is I have it set for the minimum to be the current day, so that's why you can't select a flight in the past, and this is how I did it. And then it's gonna be in this format, and that's gonna return the min and the minimum, which is the minimum date you can select. And my maximum, it's not very far off, but it's in a few months, but I didn't think I would need to go that far. And the same thing kind of applies for the date. So I have my minimum of 1960 January 1st, and my max is 2012 31. So you have to be within that age range. It won't let you select anything above or below those dates. And I just had the input, the value for today's date. I put that in manually, but I could also have the current date there. My phone number, I have a regex pattern, a regular expression pattern, and that's why it won't accept the form if you don't put it in this format. So that's the expression right there. That's what I have my placeholder. It kind of gives you a hint on what the format is. I don't have one for email, like I said, and this is my form submission right here, and that will take you to actually it will take you to booking seat selection. So I think the biggest reason why I couldn't get this is because how I wanted it to be in the database. So I wanted you to be able to book a flight in one session, and that also add in to where it would be a random class or a random seat selection. But I couldn't get Mongo to work with my PHP file over here. Every time I try and put it in, it would give me an error. I would get an internal server error, and I'm not sure why. But that's what it would have been. And then here we have the checkout, which is my drop-down menu for the card information. This is what I tried for the card verification. So what I had was, it was going to get the card number, the input from the card number, turned it into an array, and then it was going to check if that first element was whichever number. So if it was a 5, it would get the MasterCard graphic and remove the transparent class. And the transparent class is in my CSS file, and it's right here. The opacity is set at 0.5, which is why it's kind of grayed out. So once that class is removed, then the opacity would go back to 100, which is what the default is, and it would highlight that that's the type of card you're using. But also I couldn't get the input to read in this method, so that's why that wouldn't work. And here's my CSS file, very normal. And again, my PHP file, I tried to get Mongo to work here, but I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't get to. And I'm coming up on 10 minutes now, so that is my project. Thank you.